Hi, I'm Elena of Financial Dimates, where I give you the tips and tools to manage your money, increase your savings and your income, and decrease your debt. And today we're actually using the Paycheck Budget Bill Worksheet to determine which paychecks are going to pay for which bills. I am a different type of paycheck budgeter. I've seen where people every month they will adjust according to when bills are due, but I think that makes the process, for me personally, a little bit bulky. What I like to do is I like to go ahead of time and determine which bills are going to be paid with which paycheck. And typically I will keep it this way as a whole. So I always will know approximately how much money needs to go into my bill account to cover all my bills according to when I get paid. So if you're paid bi-weekly, like I used to be paid bi-weekly, I knew the first paycheck of the month would pay for a certain amount of bills, and then I knew the second paycheck of the month would pay for another set of bills. And so that helped me to be able to just say, okay, I always need to put this amount of money into my bill account so I don't have to think too hard, right? And then when you add in a new bill, you'll make some adjustments there just to make sure that everything is covered. So we're gonna go over to my desk and you're gonna see how I create this Paycheck Budget Bill Worksheet for one of my clients, and we basically break out their bills so that they know each and every paycheck what bills are going to be paid and approximately how much they would need to pay. Okay, so here is the Paycheck Budget Bill Worksheet. I created this worksheet because it just makes it easier to figure out what bills need to be paid per paycheck. Sometimes you kind of need that scratch paper to figure it out. So this is why I created this particular worksheet. So we've already created a financial calendar so we can visually see how my client money flows during the month. Then we created a monthly budget. So it's 2 pages. We have their income, their savings here, their bills, and then we have their variable expenses. And according to my client's goal, it was really important for them to be able to put extra money in savings. They are trying to get their savings to $2,000 in a short period of time. They're already pretty close, like they're halfway there, and so we're trying to help them get there quickly. That is the purpose of the budget, right? We're budgeting towards their goal. So we found $237 after we allocated for all of their spending for the month of December to be able to put towards savings. So now we are going to create a paycheck budget, but first, before we do that, we need to use this worksheet to figure out how all the bills will be allocated. So let's get started on this, okay? So this particular client actually gets paid semi-monthly. They get paid at the end of the month and on the 15th of the month. And so this paycheck budget bill worksheet has a breakout like for 1 paycheck and 2 paychecks. But I'm also going to designate which one is for the end of the month check and which one is for the 15th of the month check. What we've done is broken out these bills in a way to make it easier for my client as far as when the money comes out. If you don't remember from the financial calendar video, my client is very like expense heavy in the very beginning of the month. So we're going to try to make some adjustments to that to make it a little bit better for them so that they typically have more expenses than they have paycheck in the beginning of the month. So we're going to make some adjustments there. So it's just a little bit easier for them. We're going to start with the end of the month paycheck. One thing that I will mention is that for my client, it's a little bit better for them to split up the larger bills. I do the same thing. And so that is what we have done here, just to make it easier for them so that they can cover all of their bills. So what we are going to do is that we are going to allocate for rent for both checks, right? That just makes it a lot easier for them financially when you're looking at your cash flow. So each check, they're going to take $273.75, and they're going to put that towards their rent. So what they will do is that they are actually they're going to put money aside for their rent for January using the December check. We had a discussion about this, and so they actually took some money that they had already to the side and paid December using money that they didn't make, that they made in November. So they're going to take this money, they're going to split it. This is going to be their December rent payment, but we're going to make sure they already have that money ahead of time so they don't have to worry about it. Then they're going to have to pay for their renter's insurance. Everything else will kind of fall in line, and it'll just make it a little bit better for them. And we broke this out based off of the dates on their financial calendar. So if I just pull the financial calendar here, you'll see that the renter's insurance is due on the 3rd. So we're going to go ahead and accommodate for the rest of these bills that happen before the 15th. So I'm just writing those in here. When you're using this paycheck budget bill worksheet, one thing is it doesn't have to be perfect. I really use this as a draft, and most of the time it is pretty, it's pretty marked up because I'm moving bills back and forth to see what's going to give the best situation. Even when I do it for myself, I do that. I kind of have it set now because I've been doing it for so long, but if I add in like a new expense, then I'm trying to shift everything around, because what I personally like to do is I like to know a set amount that needs to go into my bill account every single pay period, and it'll just go towards my bills. And so I don't like it to be like a different number, but for this particular client, like they pay all their bills and do a lot out of this one particular account. And so theirs is a little bit different as far as numbers are concerned. So just give me a moment and I'll come back with this filled out and I'll explain it. Okay, so now I have completed this paycheck budget bill worksheets. So I'm just going to talk through it. As I mentioned before, my client has rent. The rent is around $547.50 a month because they have a roommate. We've taken that rent amount and we've split it between the two paychecks. So every time they get paid, the first time they get paid, they're going to take that rent and they are going to put it to the side. Preferably, if you have a bill account, leave that money in the bill account. Nothing in the bill account should be spent for, personal needs. So just leave it in there. So then after the next time you get paid, you can go ahead and pay your rent. So we split that in half to make it a little bit easier, because if you would have taken all of the bills that are due between the 1st and the 15th of the month, actually my client would have been over the amount that they receive for income. And so in order to make that easier on them, we've split that amount. And then these are the bills, the first few lines here, these are all the bills that they are going to have due between the 1st and the 15th of the month. And then of course we have to allocate for personal spending. We just split that in half. On the monthly budget, this was $200. This is now $100 for the first paycheck of the month. And then the second paycheck of the month, you see they also have $100 allocated to personal spending. They typically spend $40 a month on haircuts. So $20 for that first paycheck, $20 for that second. They pay their tithe and offering. We split that in half also. That amount was $320 for the month, so $160 for each paycheck. Their gas is $70 for the month, so we split that in half also to make that $35 for each paycheck. That's probably higher now, but again, my client does work from home. We split their food also in half. They normally have a food budget of $150. We put that at $75. And then each paycheck they save $110, so we have that in there. And then they had an extra, I want to say it was $237 left over after they paid all their bills for the month. And so one of their goals, as we mentioned in the last video, is to get their savings to $2,000. So in order to do that, we took and split the extra money that they have left over from each paycheck. So this $149.75 is actually what's left over after they cover all of these expenses here. And then this $87.25 is what's left over after they cover all of their expenses for that 15th paycheck. And so we've totaled out to $1,100 per paycheck, which, as you know, that is the amount that we're using to estimate what their budget will look like for the month of December. So you can do the same thing. As I mentioned earlier, it doesn't have to be so clean, right? It's clean because I'm doing it for you all. But typically, anytime I'm doing this paycheck budget bill worksheet, it is very much so a messy situation because I am moving bills back and forth to see how can we get to the most even number at the bottom. Because personally, I would like for all of your bills, so like on here, my client's bills stop right here for the second paycheck. And then right here, my client's bills stop right here. I like those bill numbers to be very close, right? Close in amount. And so because I have a bill account, this particular client does not. So I would like it easily to be, I know on this side, these bills are about at 8 something. These bills over here are like 9 something. So I would probably take that larger amount personally. So this is just an extra tip for you. Personally, I would normally take that $900 and then every time I get paid, $900 will go into my bill account. And so it creates that buffer. But my client already has a buffer because this $1,100 is actually less than what my client gets paid. And so there's a buffer that's going to end up in their account. Even if it's a small buffer, any buffer is great. So hopefully this will show you how you could break up your bills. If you do have larger bills, it is easier to try to break them up in half. Now, in order to do this, you're going to probably have to save a little bit of money first, unless you have a lot of money left over in your paycheck. But what you'll have to do is try to save a little bit of money. So like for my client saved that extra half of rent to go towards their December rent. So now in December, this rent that they are setting aside is for January. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you are new to paycheck budgeting and you're really just trying to figure it out, then definitely click that link that I have in the description box below. We can get together on a budget session and I will help you with breaking out your bills so that you can create a budget that actually works for you. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments area below. I definitely want to be able to address your questions and your concerns so that you can have a better year of managing your money coming up. And if you're not subscribed, make sure that you are, because the next video in this series deals completely with setting up the paycheck budget now that we have this worksheet set up. In the meantime, if you're not a paper and pen person and you want to jump ahead and figure out how to set up a paycheck budget, then I actually have the video link where I actually set up a paycheck budget using Excel.